Drawing noses can sometimes be very difficult, as I can tell when I just scroll through all these images here. In this tutorial, I would like to show you a very simple way and a step-by-step guideline about how to draw noses.
Let me be honest to you, I read every single comment under my videos and I recognize you guys have problems by drawing noses. So this is my full answer, a full step-by-step tutorial about how to draw noses. But before we dive directly into the topic of drawing, please let me know in the comment section which topic is most difficult to you when it comes to draw. Let me know in the comment section, I'm curious about it. And now, continue with the tutorial.
And of course, to draw we need some materials, and we need nothing more than a paper, pencil, a eraser and a sharpener. And we don't do it like this way, we learn from scratch. And with that being said, I just start my first sketches with volume shapes, just to understand what the body of the nose is about. We need to learn the structure and the fundamentals, just as in massive buildings made out of concrete. They doesn't exist if the ground is sandy. So we need a solid fundamental base to understand what we are doing. And this is the first drawing. That's the front view. So there are basically many ways to draw noses, whether it's in side view, in front view, or three-quarter perspective, or stuff like that. I just start simply by drawing the front view. And here are some parts of the nose that I just marked out, and I think they are the most important parts. I just sketch a little bit here and there to just understand the fundamentals of the nose in front view. You are probably wondering why this looks more like an architecture sketch than it looks like a nose drawing. And let me tell you something, it all works out in the end, because I just like to start my drawings with straight lines and edgy corners, because it's always easy to round things up when it's a straight line at the beginning, rather than otherwise. When you have a round shape, it's pretty hard to define a straight line afterwards. And that's why I just start my drawings all the way like this. And as you recognized, I just started another nose drawing on the right side because I like to make a first sketch or a first idea so I can lean on to that when I just continue drawing. And the left side is just a quick reminder that everything is in place, or if I just made something wrong in the first place, I am able to just make some adjustments and changes on the right side. The nose, especially as a feature of the face, just like the eyes and the lips and the ears, is pretty hard to connect in my opinion, because on the top it's connected to the eyes and at the bottom it's almost connected to the lips. So we have to make a transition between all these features, and that's not quite easy in my opinion. But to break this confusing system down into easy steps, we just focus mainly on the dark shadow areas, which is basically in the eye socket area and the underside of the nose. Rule number one that you always have to keep in mind when you draw noses is to avoid keeping attention to the body of the nose. Whenever I draw noses, I try to keep the attention at the eye socket shadow and at the lower side of the nose shadow area. So if you follow that rule, that brings more authentic character to your drawing, or even realism. And as you can see, I just started shading at this moment, and until now I just used straight line work to know where the lines and the shapes has to be in my drawing. So just like an architecture sketch, we just need a solid base, and then when everything is just laid down on the paper, I can continue with making shadows and making shadow areas, and that allows me to be more free in my drawing, because in the moment when I start shading, I don't have to care more about the composition and the proportions, because everything is on the paper still. And yes, coming back to the drawing, the next step that I do is just smudge a little bit with my fingers, so I can just soften my drawing a little bit, which I don't do often, but I quite like it in this way. And I shade here and there a bit more where I just think there is just more contrast and dark shadow areas needed. And to finish this sketch of a nose drawing in front view, I just decided to erase the highlight parts out of the drawing, so it just pops a bit more out. Before we dive directly into the next topic, which is the 3/4 perspective, I want to give you some tips about shading the tip of the nose. When I draw shadows, the always same rule is the light is coming from the left side, from the left upper side. That causes the darkest shadow in the middle of the, let's call it the ball, and there is a reflection light on the lower right side bouncing off the light area, and it gives a bit light in it. If you want to learn more about drawing in depth, then this is my drawing book that I published, and I lead you through all the topics, and there are some step-by-step guidelines, and you can learn all the fundamentals in drawing. And if you want to get this book, see the link in the description. And now we continue with the tutorial. And as I start the second drawing, which is the 3/4 perspective, I also start with a basic, simple sketch on the left side, so that I have always a reminder where I can look on when I just draw the drawing at all. And as I just started the very basic, simple sketch on the left side, I try to focus on the very, very simple shapes. It's almost like a pyramid, and we have light areas and shadow areas. That's basically it. And now I transfer this into a bit more complicated and a bit more detailed way on the right side. I just marked out some important features, which is like the eyebrows, the eyes, the nose tip, and the bottom of the nose. And the big space in between is just as in the first sketch drawing, the bridge of the nose, or let's call it the body. And as I continue drawing the 3/4 perspective, you can immediately see that I draw it almost like the first version, which I did in the front view, but the tip of the nose is a bit tilted to the left side. That allows us, as like observing a nose in a 3/4 perspective, we have more space on the right side of the body of the nose. As well, in this version, I just add the eye socket with just base lines, just to figure out what is here and what is there. And I also define a few of these lines that are basically the border of my shadow areas, which I lay in right now. And that brings me to rule number 2, which is like whenever you draw and you are successful with what you do, never change a running system. That means when I just start my drawing, I only focus on the line work and don't do the shading in the first moment. So when my line work is done and I'm very happy with it, I start with shading the lines and add some shadow areas. And that system allows me to don't make that much mistakes in the first row. After smudging my drawing with the fingers a bit here and there, I just add some more detailed and dark shadow areas in the eye socket area and the lower side of the nose. Well, this is not a tutorial about drawing hyper-realistic noses in any kind of way, because there are so many different shapes of noses and styles of drawing that you can just do. It's just a basic tutorial when you struggle by just starting your drawing. And I want to help you, and I want to give you a leading hand and show you what I do when I just practice drawing noses. And erase some highlights of the nose, and then we can call it a nose drawing in 3/4 perspective. There are many ways to draw noses in side view. Let's be honest to you. You can stylize your drawing however you want. You can exaggerate curves and lines and edges and make it darker with shadows, and you can be your own chef in stylizing your drawings. But rather than just diving deeply into the topic of side view drawing and noses, I just collected some quick drawings of how I manage nose drawing in side view, because there are many ways and I want to give you the best experience in this video that I can. One thing that I have in mind when I stylize my nose drawings just brings me to rule number 3. Female noses are more rounded and have a form or a shape just like a jump ramp or a kicker, and male noses are more edgy. That is a fact that you can just clearly see when you take a look back hundreds of years back to the old masters and the old Greeks when they did sculptures of gods. And female and male are obviously different. And it's not only a fact that female noses are different than male noses, it's also a fact that this tutorial comes to an end. Thanks for watching, see you next time.